The abduction. The Vkar slaver ships descended on the Saturn colony like a swarm of locusts, their weapons slicing through the habitat domes. Jerry Green's parents shielded him with their own bodies, but it wasn't enough. Amidst the chaos, a Vkar trooper snatched the terrified 8-year-old boy and carried him back to the waiting ships. News spread like wildfire back on Earth. A human child had been kidnapped by an alien race thought to be allies. By the time the Earth Defense Force, EDF, intercepted the distress calls from Saturn, it was too late. The Vkars had already flown into deep space with young Jerry as their prisoner. Outrage gripped Earth. How dare these two-faced aliens betray humanity's trust and steal an innocent boy from his family? Within hours, the EDF declared a state of total war against the Varian Empire. No mercy would be shown to the child snatchers. General Robert Anderson met with Earth's Leadership Council, laying out an audacious plan. Assemble the largest space fleet in human history and pursue the Vkars to the ends of the universe if need be. An overwhelming show of force was required to get Jerry back safely and deliver retribution to his kidnappers. The Council agreed. Across the solar system, secret orbital shipyards roared to life. Thousands of massive EDF supercarriers, hidden from public view during construction, were brought to full operational readiness. Each supercarrier, dwarfing anything the Vkars could field, carried thousands of advanced fighter craft, bombers, tanks, artillery pieces, and millions of the finest EDF troops. Within a week, over 800,000 supercarriers rendezvoused in Earth orbit, casting vast shadows across the planet's surface. With the ships stocked and troops mustered, General Anderson gave the order to begin the pursuit. One by one, the supercarriers transitioned to hyperspace, speeding after the Vkaran ships. Those left on Earth shared the same solemn thought. Would they ever see little Jerry Green alive again? The Supreme Leader's dilemma. Word of the unprecedented human counterattack spread ahead of the fleet. The Varian Supreme Leader was incredulous. How could the primitive Earthlings assemble such a massive armada so quickly? He had been assured that the humans were decades away from fielding ships that could threaten the Empire. But the proof was undeniable. Long-range scans showed the human fleet would arrive at the edge of Vkaran space far sooner than anyone believed possible. The Supreme Leader glared down at the unconscious human child at his feet, prodding him with a razor-sharp claw. This small, pathetic creature had caused all this trouble, but it would be worth it. By dissecting the boy and learning the secrets of the human body, the Vkars could create bioweapons to easily conquer Earth. He turned to Cade, the young soldier guarding the child. Take this mewling whelp to the biolabs. Prepare him for experimentation. Cade hesitated. This didn't seem right somehow. When he signed up to fight, he thought he would be facing enemy soldiers, not helpless kids. He looked down at the boy who was starting to wake up. Large, frightened eyes stared back at Cade. In halting Vkaran, the boy pleaded, "Please, I just want to go home. Don't hurt me." Before Cade could respond, alarms suddenly screamed throughout the station. On the view screens, Cade saw a sight he could barely comprehend. An endless sea of human warships appearing at the edge of Vkaran space in a blaze of Cherenkov radiation. A human face filled the screen, an older male wearing a uniform encrusted with metals. When he spoke, his voice was cold and merciless. "This is General Robert Anderson of the Earth Defense Force. You have committed an act of war by abducting our child. You have 1 hour to return him unharmed. Fail to comply, and we will wipe your species from the face of the galaxy." The Supreme Leader rose from his throne, eyes blazing with fury. He would not let some presumptuous apes threaten him. He would destroy their pathetic fleet and mount this general's head on his wall. But as he studied the tactical readouts more closely, the Supreme Leader felt icy claws of dread grip his heart. The humans had over 800,000 capital ships, and based on their energy signatures, each one was more powerful than anything ever seen before. Against a force like that, the Supreme Leader collapsed back into his seat, trembling. They didn't stand a chance against the human armada, and he had foolishly underestimated them. By stealing their child, the entire Karen species would pay the price for his arrogance. The rescue begins. In the labs, Cade watched silently as the scientists prepped their tools, the boy whimpering in fear on the operating table. When the first glinting instrument lowered toward the child's flesh, Cade knew he couldn't stand by any longer. His hand flashed to his holster. Cade didn't know if the humans would show mercy once they attacked. He didn't know if the Karen race deserved to survive at all after stooping to kidnapping children. But as a soldier, he still had his honor. He would protect this boy with his life, even if it was from his own monstrous kind. Cade's hand flashed to his holster, drawing his weapon in one fluid motion. The scientists froze, their instruments hovering inches from Jerry's skin. "Step away from the boy," Cade growled, his voice low and dangerous. The lead scientist snarled, baring razor-sharp teeth. "You dare interfere with the Supreme Leader's orders." Cade didn't hesitate. He fired, the energy blast catching the scientist square in the chest. The others scattered, diving for cover. Jerry sat up, eyes wide with fear and confusion. Cade rushed to his side, slicing through the restraints with a vibroblade. "Come on, kid, we're getting out of here." Alarms blared as Cade led Jerry through the twisting corridors of the station. Twice they encountered security patrols. Cade dispatched them efficiently, his military training kicking in. They reached a hangar bay just as the first wave of human ships burst into the system. Through the force field, Cade saw thousands of vessels materialize in a blinding flash of Cherenkov radiation. "We need to move fast," Cade said, ushering Jerry toward a small transport. "Your people are here." As Cade prepped the ship for launch, General Anderson's face appeared on view screens throughout the station. His ultimatum echoed through the halls, sending waves of panic through the Karen ranks. Cade punched the throttle, rocketing out of the hangar amid a hail of defensive fire. He weaved through the chaos of battle, watching in awe as human fighters tore through Karen squadrons with ease. "This is Cade of the Karen military," he broadcast on an open channel. "I have the human child, and wish to return him safely. Requesting permission to dock." There was a long pause. Cade held his breath, acutely aware of the targeting systems locking onto his small craft. Finally, a gruff voice responded, "Permission granted. Approach Vector 227 Mark IV. Any deviation will result in immediate termination." Cade followed the instructions precisely, guiding the transport into a massive hangar bay on the human flagship. As soon as they touched down, they were surrounded by heavily armed troops. General Anderson strode forward, his face a mask of barely contained fury. "Hand over the boy. Now." Cade raised his hands and surrendered, gently nudging Jerry forward. "I'm sorry for what my people have done. This was wrong. I hope returning him can prevent further bloodshed." Jerry ran to Anderson, who knelt down and embraced the boy. "You're safe now, son. We're taking you home." As Cade was led away in restraints, Jerry called out, "Wait, he saved me. He's not like the others." Anderson's eyes narrowed, studying Cade intently. Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A junior officer rushed to the general's side, face pale. "Sir, we're detecting a massive energy buildup from the Karen orbital platform. They're targeting us directly." Cade's head snapped up. "The Sunbreaker cannon. It can tear the ship apart in seconds." Anderson barked orders, coordinating an immediate evacuation as crew members scrambled. He turned to Cade. You know that station." Cade nodded. "Every deck." "Then you're coming with us," Anderson said, his voice like steel. "We're going to shut that thing down before it can fire." Disabling the Sunbreaker. Within minutes, Anderson had assembled an elite strike team. They boarded a stealth shuttle, Cade providing critical intel as they approached the massive orbital platform. "The main control room is here," Cade said, pointing to a holographic display. "But it's heavily guarded. We'll need to fight our way through." Anderson nodded grimly. Then that's exactly what we'll do. The shuttle docked with the station, and the strike team poured out, weapons at the ready. Cade led the way, guiding them through service tunnels and maintenance shafts. They encountered fierce resistance. Karen troops fought with the desperation of a species facing extinction, but the human soldiers were relentless, their advanced weaponry and armor giving them a decisive edge. As they neared the control room, Cade felt a pang of regret. These were his people he was fighting against. But one look at Anderson's determined face reminded him of the stakes. This was the only way to prevent genocide. They breached the final set of blast doors, erupting into the control room in a hail of gunfire. Cade raced to the main console, fingers flying over the alien controls. 30 seconds to firing, he shouted. Anderson joined him at the console. Can you stop it? Cade's heart raced as he worked furiously to override the firing sequence. I'm trying, but the fail-safes. A stray shot hit the console, showering them with sparks. Cade stumbled back, clutching his wounded arm. Anderson grabbed him by the shoulders. Is there any other way to stop this thing? Cade's eyes widened as realization struck. The power core. If we overload it, the whole station will go dark. Show me, Anderson commanded. As they sprinted toward the reactor room, Cade prayed they would make it in time. The fate of 2 species hung in the balance, and the clock was ticking down to 0. The strike team burst into the reactor room, plasma rifles blazing. Karen soldiers fell left and right as the humans advanced. Cade ducked behind a console, firing his weapon with deadly accuracy. Watch your 6, he shouted, taking down of Karen, sneaking up on a human soldier. General Anderson nodded gratefully. Nice shot. As the last defender fell, the team secured the room. Anderson strode to the main computer terminal, his face grim. All right, Cade, what are we looking at here? Cade's fingers flew over the alien controls. His eyes widened in horror as he read the data streaming across the screen. By the moons of Kar, they were experimenting on the boy, trying to create some kind of hybrid super soldier. What? Anderson leaned in, studying the diagrams and reports. Combining human and Karen DNA. Those bastards. It gets worse, Cade said. The Supreme Leader plans to use this technology to create an unstoppable army. He wants to conquer the entire galaxy. Anderson's eyes hardened. Not if we have anything to say about it. Wipe that data. All of it. Cade nodded, initiating the deletion sequence. Suddenly, alarms blared. The doors burst open as the Supreme Leader himself stormed in, flanked by heavily armed guards. Stop them, the Vkaran roared. Chaos erupted. Anderson tackled the Supreme Leader. The two locked in vicious hand-to-hand combat. Around them, humans and Karens clashed in a desperate struggle. Cade fought alongside the strike team, his loyalty to their cause now unshakable. He took a hit to the shoulder but kept fighting, persistence etched on his alien features. The battle raged on, both sides taking heavy losses. Anderson and the Supreme Leader traded brutal blows, neither able to gain the upper hand. Suddenly, the Vkaran leader saw an opening. His clawed hand plunged toward Anderson's exposed neck. No, Cade cried out, throwing himself between them. The Supreme Leader's strike caught Cade full in the chest. He collapsed, blood pooling beneath him. Anderson used the momentary distraction to launch a final desperate attack. His fist connected with the Supreme Leader's head, snapping it back with a sickening crack. The Vkaran tyrant crumpled to the floor, dead. With their leader fallen, the remaining Karens quickly surrendered. Anderson knelt beside Cade, cradling the dying alien's head. Why? The general asked softly. Cade coughed, blue blood staining his lips. Because it was right. I'm sorry for what we've done. Please, end this conflict. Find peace. Anderson clasped Cade's hand. I swear it. Your sacrifice won't be in vain. As Cade's eyes closed for the final time, Anderson stood, his face set with dogged dedication. There was still work to be done. The path to peace. The dust settled on the orbital platform as General Anderson surveyed the aftermath. Bodies of both humans and Karens littered the control room, a grim reminder of the cost of their victory. But there was no time to mourn. The real work was just beginning. Weeks passed in a blur of tense negotiations. Anderson found himself spending more time in stuffy conference rooms than on the bridge of his ship. The remaining Karen leaders, shaken by their defeat, seemed eager to broker peace, but whispers of dissent echoed through the halls of power. "They're stalling," growled Captain Harris, Anderson's right-hand man, buying time to regroup. Anderson nodded grimly. "Keep our forces on high alert. This isn't over yet." His instincts proved correct. Reports trickled in of Karen ships vanishing from their assigned sectors, weapons caches emptied overnight. At the center of it all was Admiral Wrath, a hardliner known for his brutal tactics. On Earth, Jerry Green struggled to readjust to normal life. Nightmares plagued his sleep, filled with memories of cold metal tables and glinting scalpels. But amid the darkness, a spark of hope remained. He couldn't forget Cade's final words, the aliens' dying wish for peace between their peoples. Jerry threw himself into studying Karen culture and language. When General Anderson approached him about joining the embassy, the boy didn't hesitate. "I want to make a difference," Jerry said, his voice stronger than it had been in months. For Cade, the journey to the Karen capital was meant to be a fresh start. Jerry sat in the diplomatic shuttle, nervously fiddling with his new uniform. Beside him, Ambassador Chen reviewed last-minute briefing notes. The first explosion caught everyone off guard. Alarms blared as the shuttle rocked violently. Through the viewport, Jerry saw sleek Karen fighters swarming their position. The EDF escort vessels moved to intercept, energy weapons blazing. "Get to the escape pods," shouted Captain Reeves, the head of their security detail. Jerry stumbled through smoke-filled corridors, ducking as another blast rocked the ship. He helped Ambassador Chen into a pod, then turned back to make sure everyone else was evacuating. That's when he saw them. Karen boarding craft latching onto the hull. "Go," Jerry yelled to Chen, slamming the pod's launch controls. He sprinted toward the nearest weapons locker, heart pounding. But he was too late. The bulkhead exploded inward, and heavily armed Karens poured through the breach. Jerry raised his hand slowly, recognizing the futility of resistance. A towering Karen, scales gleaming blood-red in the emergency lighting, stepped forward. "Hello again, little human," Admiral Wrath purred. "Did you miss us?" The counterattack. Across the galaxy, General Anderson pounded his fist on the war room table. How the hell did they get past our security net? The holographic display showed the aftermath of the ambush. Debris from destroyed EDF ships drifted silently in the void. The diplomatic shuttle was gone, towed away by Wrath's strike force. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission." "It's Admiral Wrath." The Karan's scared face filled the main screen, mandibles clicking in what passed for a smile among his kind. "General Anderson, I believe I have something that belongs to you." The camera panned to reveal Jerry and the other hostages, bound and terrified. "You have 24 hours to withdraw all EDF forces from Karen space," Wrath growled, "or I start executing prisoners." The transmission cut off, leaving stunned silence in its wake. Anderson's mind raced. They couldn't abandon their newfound allies to Wrath's faction, but neither could they leave Jerry and the others to die. There had to be another way. "Sir," a young lieutenant spoke up, "I think I found something." On the tactical display, a tiny blip appeared, a distress beacon hidden among the wreckage of the battle. "It's Viren," the lieutenant explained, "but it's not on any of their standard frequencies." Anderson leaned in, hope kindling in his chest. "Can you trace it?" The lieutenant nodded. "To an asteroid belt in the Omega sector, heavily fortified. That's where they'll be holding the hostages." Anderson turned to his staff. "I want our best infiltration team ready in 1 hour. We're going in." As the EDF mobilized, an unexpected ally emerged. Krav, a young Karen soldier, approached Anderson with vital intelligence. "I served under Wrath," Krav said, scales rippling with disgust. "I know how he thinks, how he builds his fortresses. I want to help." Anderson studied the alien, seeing echoes of Cade's courage. "Welcome aboard, soldier." The strike team assembled in the hangar bay. Anderson addressed them, his voice grim but determined. "This mission is volunteer only," he said. "We're going up against impossible odds to save not just our people, but the future of human-Karen relations. I won't order anyone to." He was cut off by a chorus of voices, human and Karen alike, all volunteering as one. Anderson nodded, pride swelling in his chest. "Then let's go get our people back." The infiltration craft rocketed toward the asteroid base, cloaking fields engaged. Inside, the strike team made final preparations. Krav briefed them on Wrath's defenses, while EDF tech specialists pored over schematics. As they approached the asteroid, a sudden burst of comm chatter caught their attention. "This is Karen's Special Forces," a gruff voice announced. "We're already inside the base, ready to assist on your signal." Anderson grinned. It seemed their allies in the Karen capital had been busy too. The assault began with perfect synchronization. EDF ships launched a feint attack on the base's main hangar, drawing Wrath's forces to defend against the frontal assault. Meanwhile, the strike team slipped in through a maintenance airlock, guided by Krav's insider knowledge. Alarms blared as they fought their way deeper into the base. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air, leaving scorch marks on metal walls. The combined human-Karen team moved with precision, covering each other's backs as they advanced. "The detention block is 2 levels down," Krav shouted over the din of battle. They reached a heavily fortified blast door. Beyond it lay Jerry, the other hostages, and a confrontation that would shape the future of 2 species.